Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So just yesterday, Andrea Olshan, CEO of Seritage Growth Properties, did an interview with Bloomberg. Okay, and it really seemed to be a follow-up to this press release that was put out on March 1st, where Seritage announced a comprehensive review of strategic alternatives. Okay. They really want to figure out, how do we unlock value faster? Olshan, also Eddie Lampert, has pointed that there seems to be a dislocation between what the market thinks Seritage is worth and what Seritage believes their assets are actually worth. If you take a look at this 3-year price chart for Seritage, it was kind of hovering around $40, $45 per share. And then the pandemic came, right? And it dropped down to 7, 6, very low, right? It dropped like 80% from where it was. And, we've had a little pop here. I think this was the whole GameStop short squeeze thing where it looked like Seritage got squeezed a little bit as well. And then we're really right back kind of in the doldrums, at least compared to what I think the company should be worth, what the assets are worth based on kind of going through each property and calculating that. But I just want to share sort of what I gleaned from Andrea Olshan in this Bloomberg interview from yesterday. So again, it's about Seritage exploring strategic alternatives to unlock shareholder value, right? By partnering with finding partners, investors, and buyers potentially for these assets. I think this is a tremendous portfolio, right? Andrea saying this. And there's so many different ways that this could go. We really need to look at alternatives and maximize value. So she's saying it's a tremendous portfolio, right? Clearly, Wall Street doesn't see it as a tremendous portfolio. So, it's great for shareholders that she's out there kind of beating this drum. Look at the incredible quality of these assets that we have. She also points out, the value isn't in the assets today. Okay, it's really forward-looking value. It's what could be with some of these multifamily mixed-use development projects. She says right now, where we're trading versus even the value of some of our prime assets, there's such a dislocation that it's really incumbent on us to look at what alternatives we have. She was asked, what do you think your portfolio is worth? Okay, she didn't answer that. She said, we haven't been public about it. I think a large part of our portfolio value is in its potential. Okay, you're not going to get incredible cash flowing assets today at Seritage. It's really kind of what they're moving towards in the 3 to 5 year kind of time horizon. We were all Sears and Kmart's, and it became a retail portfolio that still has incredible value add opportunities. But they need capital, right? Which is part of this whole strategic alternatives, situation right now. We have 30 assets that are going to be multifamily developments. We have millions of square feet of entitlements for tech, office, and life sciences. You're really looking at a forward valuation of what this portfolio could be. At least that's what Andrea's looking at, right? That's not necessarily what Wall Street is looking at. What kind of parties are you talking to and what interests are you seeing? Andrea is asked. Because the portfolio is so diverse, we're seeing interest in the overall development platform, which is where we repurpose outmoded real estate. We also have interest in our sub-portfolios from retail operators, life sciences developers, and logistics companies. What conversations have you had with Eddie Lampert about the sale, right? Or this kind of strategic alternatives shift in focus? Eddie has always believed in the deep value of the company. If we read that press release, Eddie says, It's been a privilege to serve as chair of the Seritage Board since 2015. I have always believed in the potential of Seritage and agree that its stock price is currently significantly undervalued. Bear in mind, Lampert owns, I think, almost 30% of the equity in Seritage. So not a huge surprise that he would say something like that. Lampert continued, I encourage and support the board's efforts to explore and pursue strategic alternatives to enhance shareholder value. I've decided to retire to allow additional time to focus on my other investments and to provide me with greater flexibility to explore alternatives for my investment in Seritage. Okay, so perhaps Eddie wants to actually buy some of these assets out of the Seritage portfolio, which could include participating with parties that may be interested in acquiring certain of the company's assets and trading shares in open market transactions. So that's what Eddie had to say. But clearly he's always believed in the deep value of the company. He continues to be supportive of unlocking that value. And as he said in his 13D, he's looking to maximize shareholder value. That's what we're all looking to do. And that's really why there's this kind of pivot to exploring strategic alternatives. Our retail leasing this year has been off the charts. So many of our properties are transit oriented, okay, close to public transportation, which really was discounted a few years ago. Now with rising gas prices, people are really excited about being near public transportation and in a mixed-use community where they can work and live in the same environment. Right? You have multifamily, you have retail, you have restaurants. Andrea's seeing a big draw for that kind of self-contained community environment. Corporate tenants are realizing that to bring people back to the office, the environment is more important. Right? They need to have this mixed use with amenities kind of functionality to the office environment. And that's something that Seritage is in a position to provide in some of these premier locations. The thing that's different about Sears and some of the other department stores that have gone out of business, our average location is over 13 acres, and we tend to be in the best position in the mall in terms of visibility from the roads, the highways, and access. So her point there is we can build a sense of place regardless of what happens with the rest of the mall. Okay, so Seritage has this kind of autonomy in their developments where, since they have 13 plus acres, with most of these, they can really create this self-contained community feel without being dependent on what else is happening with the rest of the mall. So clearly she sees that as an advantage compared to some of these other department store type locations that are trying to develop as well. There's an edge that Seritage has there with the location and that flexibility of development. So those are some of the remarks from Andrea Olshan. It's only a 5-minute and 48-second segment here on Bloomberg. There may be more to this. I don't have a subscription to Bloomberg, so this may have just been a shorter version of the conversation. If any of you know if there's a longer version of this interview with Andrea Olshan, let me know in the comments. I will try to dig deeper into that and see what else was said here. But that's kind of an update on Andrea Olshan, how she's viewing Seritage at the moment. In 5 days from now, on March 15th, Seritage is going to be announcing its Q4 results. Okay, so that's coming up here in just 5 days from now. But yeah, it's certainly the stock price has languished. It's rebounded a little bit in the last couple of days. I think maybe since this announcement that Eddie was resigning from the board. But, with the news that Monish is selling out, I think he sold most of his stake by now in Seritage. There's been a lot going on recently, mostly to the downside in terms of Seritage shareholders. But I haven't changed my position at all, just in full disclosure. I bought around $10 per share. I believe it was, it must have been somewhere in here, August of 2020. And I haven't changed the position since then. So I'm still holding firm along with Guy Spear and Matt Peterson. So we'll just see how things shake out. And just wanted to give you guys a quick update from Andrea and kind of how I'm seeing things. So hopefully that helps. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.